can the public be trusted to choose public art? And if so, in what ways can this trust be portrayed, practiced, or developed? And if not, what framework should the deciding body use to choose public art? I know it's a little bit of a loaded question.
I'll start. And I apologize, this is a repeat for those of you who were at the meeting on Wednesday. But I like what Joseph Campbell said to Bill Moyers years ago about people say, you know, das Volk dicta, which is German, which is the people, this concept that the people dictate their own culture. And he says art does not come from the folk, art comes from an elite, and it goes to the folk, and there's a response from the folk. Now that's not to say that the public has no place in it. Their place is to respond. And when we try to, and in fact, Rob at I think our first meeting said, he asked the question, how many people have to object to a work before we take it down? And I think, you know, I mean, that's not how we're going to be working it, but that framed the question very well. You know, I find that, you know, when you talk about a mix of public art, you do want to include as many people as possible. At the same time, a lot of people don't want to be bothered until they find something offensive, and those are the people that you're not going to get to beforehand. And you can dumb down the work in that sense. And then what are you giving the public? I also think it's just if you get enough density of art, and you have permanent pieces and temporary pieces, and art comes and goes more. I was not surprised, but a little saddened at this this YouTube video of the city council meeting from not here that I saw, where the woman said, "Well, you know, all these other, you know, all the things that the city needs is the cake. The art is just the icing." And I thought, you know, as long as that's the concept, that we're decorating our town, rather than speaking in a language that doesn't have a direct translation, we're always going to be fighting that fight in that sense. And so I think we can be more proactive, but we also have to kind of raise the stakes in terms of, you're not going to let, you know, if we do 10 years of public art and nobody complains, we haven't done our job.
I kind of take a little, you know, where it's sort of like, you know, lots of chefs spoil the broth, you know, and I agree with that, you know, and if we sort of, the dumbing down philosophy, you know, where if everyone has a right to chime in, we're basically going to, you know, we're going to, you know, genericize it, you know. I kind of come at it from a different point of view, because I'm involved in some projects where there is a lot of that dialogue, and it doesn't necessarily have to dumb it down. What it can do, if the dialogue is done in a partnership and a real discussion, like the discussion that actually took place with the library and the artists and some of these people, if that discussion took place early on, before the work was even created, then the work can actually appeal to a higher aspiration and can be a better work, and can be a more inclusive work, and can be a work that speaks to a higher plane, and doesn't speak to that sometimes which is not in the artist's intention, sometimes it is, that speaks to people's fears, and people bring those fears to the table and bring those slights to the table. So I agree with you saying that sometimes it can dumb it down, and sometimes it can genericize it, and they go, oh, that's nice, okay, what do we have for dinner? You know? But on the other case, it can actually raise the level and create a work that appeals to people's highest aspirations and actually inspires people more. Instead of a work that's like, oh wow, you know, isn't that kind of offensive and this and that, you know? And sort of, okay, well, the artist, you know, we're trying to create some controversy so we can get some attention. You know, so there's a lot of myriad of ways to go, and a lot of shades to this black and white image, so to speak.
In your experience, having been through that,
yes.
What did you find that helped those conversations happen in the way that picks it up? Because I mean, for the organizing body who has to come up with those ways of doing it, are there ways that intent or structure assisted that?
I think when people are honest and they try to be honest about what their preconceived notions are, and they put those out on the table, and so then they can get those out of the way, and then create a new framework, you know, where people can have a real honest dialogue and actually put their fears out, you know, instead of the sort of preconceived conversation where you're like, okay, well, I'm going to, you know. So it's creating a certain atmosphere where honesty and people can really, you know, put their fears on the table. And then an artist or a team of artists, because a lot of these projects are artist teams, you know, can listen and can allow that to marinate and germinate inside them and be part of that creative process. And so yes, they'll consider it, but they might step past it to do something even more profound. You know, so I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it works, but it's a way to perceive things, you know, that could enhance it in a sense. It's, you know, it's like art itself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know?
But you're talking about a forum, so
No, not really. You know, forums.
I guess I'm just asking that. What is the
I'm saying where
how would the dialogue be structured?
well, like for instance, okay, I was just recently commissioned to do a project for the LA County Arts Commission, and it's for the LA County Fire Department. They don't have any preconceived notions. LA County Arts Commission has been doing this for a lot of years. I mean, they've been in existence for 30 years. They're a big organization. Well, now with the California budget problems, they're probably a little small organization. Anyways, the point is that basically they invited me out there for a period of time to learn, to investigate, to live with the fabric of that area. You know, it wasn't a long time. It was a week here, a week there. You know, and I was able to basically learn. I was basically able to gain experience about what the environment, what this neighborhood, what these people do, and I could, you know, it wasn't that it was that different from what firefighters or rescue workers or people from any particular do, but I could get a sense of their particular sensibilities, you know. And yeah, I have preconceived notions about what kind of, you know, piece, you know, would look great, but I now have an increased knowledge about where these personal elements. And in another sense, when the piece is actually done, it actually reflects some of the voices that I heard a year and a half ago when these things actually took place. So that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm just saying it's a way to...
Well, but I think it brings us something that I find very interesting, especially as I look at other models around the world. And I kind of liken that idea to, you know, how in Japan they'll take a seasoned master artist and make them a national treasure. We don't have, you know, apart from Kennedy Center honors or something like that, we don't have that kind of, you know, governmental way of saying this person is special. But I think we're talking about public art. But in that sense, you're making the public artist. The artists themselves become part of the public art process in a way that you know.
You get smarter.
Right, and it's a more intrinsic part of the equation. That's right.
And I think people who go into public art generally are the kinds of people who are willing to engage in dialogue with a variety of people, because if you don't want to engage with the public, you generally tend to stay in your studio. So they're, you know, because they're out there and they're going to engage with you if they see you working somewhere on a site or in the public. So there's a certain kind of artist who evolves into someone who's doing it repeatedly, who's aware of the give and take of sharing with the public, but not changing your vision to accommodate them, but understanding that they're the other side of the equation.
I mean, there are a lot of variables. I mean, there are artists that, you know, where their vision is a solely personal vision, and they really don't want confusion. They don't want battering voices and other people saying, oh, you know, they don't want, their vision is solely a personal struggle and a bend, and they need to get it out. And in a sense like that, yes, you can have, you can have dangerous things happen. You can have controversy when things happen, which is not such a bad thing. Other artists, don't want to work in a vacuum. They want to create something that, where they have a chance to explore their own perceptions about what something might be. So it's as myriad as there are artists doing work.
Well, and I think that goes back to I think from the organizing body, and Sarah also kind of has the municipal hat on part-time as well here. From an organizing body's perspective, really getting up front that this art is going to happen and that this is who the the artist is,